My guest today more known as a CS:GO content creator, but he started it all in Trackmania, and somewhat lately he has come back to the Trackmania scene. So I thought, why not listen in with TrilluXe to see his history in the game, why he moved away, and now why he's slowly but surely coming back to the game that we all love. TrilluXe, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you, man?
And thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be back in the Trackmania scene a bit. Excited for the new game, and yeah, looking forward to our little talk here.
I guess you are more known for the German fans of Trackmania. They probably know you, but for let's say the international fans, can you give us a short introduction about yourself? What do we need to know about you?
Yeah, so as Eirik told you, I'm probably most known for Counter-Strike nowadays. I have a big YouTube channel, which I actually started in 2008. My first uploads from back in the day are actually Trackmania content. I think the first video I ever uploaded on YouTube was in December 2008. That was my world record on the ESL Cup Track A, which has
Oh.
been beaten numerous times ever since. But yeah, it all started with Trackmania for me. I started playing Trackmania Nations in 2007, and I kept playing until Trackmania, was it Canyon in 2012, I think?
Yeah.
I think I still was competing in Trackmania Canyon back in the day. But since then, around 2013, I mostly switched over to Counter-Strike. That's where I'm at right now. But I have been following the Trackmania scene ever since, and I'm looking forward to the new game and hope to get my foot in when it comes out.
Yeah, so for new fans that see you as a big CSGO content creator and a streamer, they might not know that you are like a Trackmania creator at heart. Their first video was a Trackmania video. Can you tell us what was your way into Trackmania? How did you even find out about Trackmania in 2007?
So I think like back in the day, 2007-ish, I was not really into gaming at all. In Germany, we had a big like chat room, which you guys probably don't know, but the German fans will probably remember. It was called Knuddels. There were some mini games in there, like 8-Ball and stuff. And all of my friends in school were using that chat room, and two of them actually talked about that one game once in school. I was not even part of the discussion and the talk, but I heard them talk about Trackmania and how great it was. And so I went home, I googled the game, tried it out. These two guys actually stopped playing after 2 weeks or so, but I got hooked and I kept playing Trackmania for like 8 hours every day for like 4 years straight. That's how everything started.
But can you even now go back to why did you get hooked? It's what was the reason why Trackmania was so fun for you in the start and eventually got you into gaming?
I think with everything I ever did in my life, I was always quite competitive and wanted to become better and better. And I think the first tracks I ever played in Trackmania Nations were I think there was a Nadeo beginner server back in the day in Trackmania Nations where many players started hunting those old maps. And I think from the start it was just fun for me to try and improve on my times. At the beginning I was very far behind, but I got to learn the tricks pretty quickly. I mean, the first tracks were like pretty much precision based. There was no drifting, there was no tricks involved, but it was just trying to get the corners as tight as possible. And that was a lot of fun for me, and that's why I think it was just that, trying to improve my times, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
Hmm. You mentioned that the first video was a world record video on the ESL map. Can you tell people how good were you back in the days? Was you among the top players? Were you below them? Do you have any idea about what your level was back in the days?
I was not nearly as good as the top players back in the day, but I would say I was on a pretty decent level. Like that ESL Cup track that I mentioned, I think that were the first ESL tracks that came out. And my first clan that I joined in Trackmania in 2007 or 2008, that was the track that we had to, how do we say it? Like, it was a requirement to join the team to go below 52 seconds on that track.
Okay.
And that was like, I wasn't able to do it at all, but half a year later, or like a year later, I actually was the first player to ever drive a time below 49 seconds on that track. That was a like huge accomplishment for me. And I still remember it was around Christmas 2008 where our internet turned off for like 2 weeks straight, like the worst thing that could ever happen to you if you're in school. and you have a lot of free time, Christmas holidays, and your internet is broken. So I just sat there for 2 weeks straight and no-lifed ESL Cup Track A, trying to hunt the world record, and was quite pleased with getting it. And the first one to go below 49 seconds. I did compete in a bunch of tournaments. I think the first Trackmania Masters, is it still a thing nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah. I joined with my team, Sign Gaming, back then, and we took the second place. So I was nowhere near the top players, but I would say if you compare to today's standards, somewhat semi-professional, but there were no contracts really back then. Yeah, but I was nowhere near a total pro player, but I think I was pretty decent.
But did you have any idea about who the best players were back in the days? And if so, did you play against them sometimes?
Back in the day, the best players were, of course, Frost Buell. He was like the main thing back then. Karian was also pretty nice back then. Actually, today there's still the player Coens, I think. Or is he still around? He has been playing for, what was it,
Koens
Vignes, I
or
think?
from
Koens,
Netherlands?
yeah.
Yeah, he stopped in
Yeah.
2016, 17.
Oh, also, yeah. He was playing for Acer with Frost Buell, I think, back
Yeah.
then, right? Yeah. And way before that, there was another guy who was called Kuen, without the Z in the end. He was also a very young player back in the day. He was quite impressive, and from the German scene, I remember Black Phoenix. Who else was there? Yeah, many. You probably won't remember the names. There was one player called Bombe, Baumschmuser. I remember the Nordlichter clan from back in the day with Anderson and stuff. That was some people that I looked up to back in the day.
These are names even I don't remember, so you have some more knowledge about Trackmania than me. But can you tell, how was it to play in the clan that you played with? Were you the most serious guy? Were everybody at the same goal, trying to hunt for world records? Can you tell, how was it to play with other people in Trackmania?
So we have not really been a really competitive clan when we started out. It was I think it was even the biggest clan there was in Trackmania Nations. It was called the Twister Clan. They had a really big server, a lot of players, and over the years, some sub teams developed in that clan. Some were more serious than others, and actually, two of my friends from that clan actually took it a step forward together with me. We wanted to compete in ESL and stuff, and we joined a international team which was called FGP, Foundation of Global Players. I think clan doesn't exist anymore at all. And after that, I moved over to Unique eSports with players like Shaw. I think he still played until 2015 or so. Tom Shaw, he was from the UK. And the biggest clan that I could have gotten in back in the day was Infused. I don't remember which players played for Infused back in 2011 anymore. But yeah, we kept on practicing, and it came to the point where our fun clan became a bit too bad for us, because we wanted to take it a step forward to the next level. And the players that we played with in our clan, they were just playing for fun. They didn't really care on improving their times. Of course, they were happy when it happened, but they did not put the time in that we put in, trying to improve over and over and playing the same track 5 hours every day and stuff. But I think that's just the nature of going competitive.
Yeah. But did you have any goals to maybe become a best player, or what goals did you have back in the days? Do you have any personal goals?
I mean, I think back in my head, it was always a dream to maybe become professional. I don't think you can even call it professional at those times, because there were no real pro contracts and prize money involved, because Nadeo didn't really put the time and effort in to develop a competitive scene back in the day. But yeah, of course, I tried to become as good as I possibly could. I actually remember Massa back in the day, who's probably one of the best players nowadays and probably the best German players. I used to hunt with him on some short tech servers back in the day, and the time that I stopped, I used to be better than Massa. So I'm not sure where I could have been if I kept playing. Probably not as good as Massa is today, but yeah, I did put a lot of time in.
For many people, like the biggest reason why they play Trackmania and stick around in Trackmania is because then they can go to offline events to meet friends to play in a LAN environment. Did you ever get that experience to play at the LAN event?
No, never. I don't think there were many LAN events back then, especially for Trackmania players, because there were no events, there was no prize money and stuff. And also back in the day, I was pretty shy back in school. So even if there were opportunities to meet players and friends, I wouldn't have taken the opportunities. It was even that bad back in the day that I was too afraid to go on TeamSpeak with the
Oh.
players that I've played with for a year or so. It was pretty bad, yeah. So even if there were some tournaments and stuff, I probably wouldn't have taken the chance to meet them.
But you obviously, for people that know you, you are now a CS:GO player. But before that, you had to quit Trackmania. Can you tell people why did you eventually quit a game that you love and spend so much time in? What is the reason why that sort of interest falls away?
Yeah. So the first 2 or 3 years when I only played Trackmania, I was saying to myself, I cannot imagine ever stopping to play Trackmania. But then I think in 2009 or 2010, some of my friends in the German scene that I looked up to and played with a lot started playing Counter-Strike. And it was also a time where many people from my old clan, my fun clan that I mentioned, stopped playing. So for once, it was that many people switched over to Counter-Strike or stopped playing completely. So somehow lost a lot of friends in the Trackmania scene, if you want to say it like that. And also, I think I was at the peak of my performance back then in 2010 and 2011, and I really grinded Trackmania a lot in those days. And I remember hunting that one ESL track where I actually managed to get like one of the top 10 Deadmania records. And there was that last or the second last stupid corner where I used to get the Runstein bug like every attempt, every good attempt I ever had. And I was so mad about the game. I would even go that far to say that part of me quitting Trackmania back then was because of the bugs the game had and Nadio not doing anything about that. So for once, it was people moving over to Counter-Strike, which I also loved to play back then. I had a lot of fun playing Counter-Strike. A lot of my friends left, and just for the fact that the game made me rage quite a lot back then. Yeah.
But then you moved to the CS:GO. Was it the same people you played with in Trackmania that you then started playing with in Counter Strike?
Yeah. The people that I played with in Trackmania were the people that introduced me to Counter-Strike. So I was still able to play with the friends that I played with for years before. Those didn't want to play any Trackmania anymore, so we kept in touch by playing Counter-Strike. And Counter-Strike was not like love at first sight like Trackmania was initially, but I also soon became better in Counter-Strike, and I understood how much there's to learn in that game still. Whereas I felt in Trackmania, I knew most of the tricks and stuff there's to do, which was still not enough to get to the levels of Frostbuel or Carian. But with Counter-Strike, I had a new game and a lot of new stuff to learn. And that's why I kind of fell in love with Counter-Strike and kept on playing it.
But would you say that some of the things that you learned in Trackmania to eventually improve as a gamer helped you improve in CS:GO as well? And if so, what?
Yeah, the thing that Trackmania and Counter-Strike have in common is both are games where you have to be pretty precise. In Trackmania, it's driving the corners tight and making sure to keep your speed, to not get slowdowns and stuff. And in Counter-Strike, you have to also be precise by aiming, thinking about your movements and what steps to take. So there are some similarities between Trackmania and Counter-Strike when it comes to that, and also the determination that you have to put in. Like if you wanted to set a good time in Trackmania, you had to put a lot of hours in, and it was nothing like you could quit after 10 minutes and expect to be at the top level. And that's also something that Counter-Strike has in common. You have to put a lot of time in to become good. You have to find new strategies, smoke grenades, and practice stuff. And that's why the transition from Trackmania to Counter-Strike was actually quite easy for me.
Hmm. But you mentioned that the first video you uploaded was Trackmania. That video reach somewhat of a success, or was it when you started producing CS:GO content that your channel and you as a content creator grew?
Yeah. So in Trackmania, I upload like 4 or 5 videos, I think, in total to my YouTube channel. There was actually another platform in Germany back in the day, which was called My Video, where I uploaded even more videos. Some even reaching back to 2007, I think. But those never really were, the Trackmania videos really never were that popular on YouTube. Because I still think to this day, Trackmania channels are underrated, like really underrated. And back in the day, you were lucky to get like 100 views on a Trackmania video. So the YouTube success really came with Counter-Strike. I uploaded one video on my English YouTube channel, which I actually produced for my Trackmania community, my fan clan back then. So I did like a little highlight video of our Counter-Strike games, posted it in our Trackmania fan clan forum to in the hope to get the Trackmania players that I played with to also start playing Counter-Strike. And then I left the YouTube channel for like 3 or 4 months, and I actually saw that the video that I produced from my fan clan actually reached like 1,000 views within that 3 months, which was crazy for a channel that had like 17 subscribers or so. And yeah, that really gave me a push to start creating Counter-Strike content, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
But nowadays, would you say that you are like a player that try to become better in CS:GO, or do you see yourself now as a streamer and a content creator?
Yeah, still mostly streamer and content creator. I think the peak that I had with my team was around like 2017 or 18, where we actually used to play quite a lot. But as you get older, people change their interest. Like we have one guy from our team who recently moved. He has a girlfriend now. He kind of starts to settle in, and he doesn't play nearly as much anymore. So we never really tried to become pros in Counter-Strike, which is also nothing that I would ever want to do, because you have to put so much time in. You have to travel a lot. You don't see your family very often. It's really stressful to be a Counter-Strike pro. But yeah, we had our times where we tried to compete a bit in like fun tournaments and leagues, but we were nowhere near becoming pros whatsoever.
Hmm. But you always also started at some point where you are like a small content creator, and then eventually you grew. Can you tell
Mhm.
people that might now start to produce content and they want to live out of it in the future? What should small content creators think about if they want to try to grow and essentially make a living out of it?
I think most people that actually became a big or got a big following on YouTube or Twitch or any platform didn't start it with the intention that they want to become, I don't know, famous or successful with it, because you have to put a lot of time in that you will not be paid back financially. So I think the first time that my YouTube channel paid off was like 2 or 3 years into it, and I've put like hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into the videos that I've done until then. Um, So I would never say start something on YouTube or Twitch in the hope that you become successful, because that will not work. Most likely because you will be frustrated because the numbers are not what you expected and stuff. I just did it for fun, and eventually it became a thing. I was also quite lucky that Counter-Strike really popped off. So I was one of the first persons to do like tutorials around Counter-Strike and in general content around Counter-Strike. And then in 2013, 14, the game really took off. And I was one of the lucky guys that actually created content on that game before. So a lot of people that started with the game got to know my videos, and that's how my channel started to grow.
Hmm. But in the future, and or let me rephrase it. When was it that you realized that you had reached a limit? You said maybe 3 years ago it started to pay, or 3 years after it started to pay off. But was there a certain point, a certain video, a certain moment that you realized, okay, maybe this is something I can do for the rest of my life, or at least make a living out of?
Yeah, I think that was around 2015 or 16 when yeah, my channel gained like, I think the best month I ever had, gained like 34,000 new subscribers in a single month. And the YouTube AdSense revenue which was around like $400 or $600 the month before, suddenly popped up to 1,500 in a single month, which was crazy. And I was still in university back then, and that's when I thought, well, I did put a lot of time into those videos at that time, but I was like, if I try to do this even more, I could really get my first flat with the money that I earn with this.
Hmm.
So I started to put even more time in, and that really improved everything I did.
So obviously, I'm an outside viewer from CS:GO, and then I'm gonna ask you this question: what is the future of CS:GO? Is Valorant gonna take over, or is CS:GO still gonna be the main shooter game out there?
I think Counter-Strike reached its peak in 2016 or 2017. Ever since then, the game didn't nearly get as many interesting updates that we got before. So before we got like a battle pass thing every 2 or 3 months. Nowadays we got, I think, 2 in the last 4 years, and there has not really been that much new interesting stuff coming into Counter-Strike, even though the game reached its new concurrent players peak like 2 or 3 months ago with 1 million concurrent players, which was due to the game becoming free to play. I wouldn't say that most of CS players that started when I started enjoy the game as much as they did like 3 or 4 years ago. And with the game becoming free to play, actually another problem arrived. There are so many cheaters in the game nowadays, so it's Counter-Strike when it comes to playing the normal matchmaking that's integrated within the game is the worst state it has ever been in. So you can be lucky if you only get one cheater every 3 games. It's really tough at times, and with also Riot Games pumping out the new game Valorant that I also enjoy quite a lot at the moment, it's quite difficult for Counter-Strike at the moment, but I think it's a good thing that we get some games that actually compete with Counter-Strike, because that may or may not get the developers of Counter-Strike to invest some more time into the game and hopefully make it a bit more interesting for the old players in the future.
Hmm. But if you are to look into the future, let's say 2-3 years into the future, what is gonna be the main, let's say, shooter game? Fortnite, Valorant, Counter-Strike? What is your prediction?
So I'm not a big fan of Fortnite at all, so I'm not gonna say anything about that. But I think Counter-Strike will always have its place. I don't think that Valorant or any other game that's about to come will entirely kill Counter-Strike. I think Counter-Strike and Valorant can coexist like League of Legends and Dota do. And I think the competition between those two games also made Dota and League of Legends better, and they get a lot of interesting updates. That's what I hope for with Counter-Strike as well. When it comes to Valorant, we still have to see if it can compete for more than 4 or 5 months. There have been so many games that just have been hyped up for a certain time and then soon later died. I think Valorant is gonna be around for quite some time, but I'm not worried at all that it's gonna kill the Counter-Strike community.
Hmm.
It will always be a thing.
What is your first impression of then the Valorant? I see your fellow countryman Massa uploading a lot of Valorant
Mhm.
clips once it was released. Did you enjoy it as much as him? And if so, what is your first impression of it?
I enjoyed it from the get-go. So I've been invited by Riot Games to be one of the first streamers who played even before the closed beta. They actually wanted to fly us out to Barcelona to have us play the game and stuff, which sadly didn't happen because of the coronavirus. They canceled it like 2 days before we got there. I think would have been in March, so that was still at the very beginning of Corona. And we still got the opportunity to play Valorant, which was like an online thing then. And I did not expect that much because you could before you could also see some gameplay reels and some teasers and stuff. And Valorant looked like Fortnite to me, and I didn't expect the game to be good. But once I booted it up and played it, I realized that it's actually quite similar to Counter-Strike, and it's more Counter-Strike than it is Overwatch or Fortnite, and it's very similar. And Counter-Strike players actually will get the hang of it quite quickly and enjoy the game.
Hmm. Let's talk a little bit about when I first heard about you. It was when you cast the Trackmania Grand League beta season. Can you tell us how did that deal come to fruition? How did you end up casting that?
Yeah, it was. it was I don't quite remember. Actually, I think Nadeo messaged me because I think Massa or Raioli actually got asked by Nadeo if there were any German guys that could cast the game. I think the first guy that would probably come to your mind is Raiolo, but he's also so great at casting stuff in English, so
Yeah.
he probably took that spot. And I think before that, I actually talked to Massa and Raiolo regarding some Trackmania stuff. I don't even remember what it was. And I think that's why they still had my name in the hat, because they knew that I was still like following the Trackmania scene, even though I haven't been playing for years. And yeah, like one day out of nowhere, one guy from Nadeo emailed me and asked if I wanted to cast the Trackmania Grand League. And yeah, there we were. And it was a lot of fun. And I hope that I can do that in the future, because I did not know what to expect from that Trackmania cast, because I've never done that before. And as you know, most of my following on Twitch is there for Counter-Strike, so we were also not sure what they would say about it. But we actually were streaming like Counter-Strike before the Trackmania Grand League cast, and we had like, I don't know, 1,500 concurrent viewers on Counter-Strike. Switch over to the Trackmania cast, which most of my following on Twitch never heard of about that game. And we actually peaked at 3,000 concurrent viewers, which was quite
Oh,
a
really?
surprise, and a lot of people enjoyed watching that. And they've been asking ever since if we want to do that again, because yeah, I think it's really easy to understand the game even if you don't play it. And I think that's what could actually help make the game become very successful on Twitch and stuff.
Hmm.
If Nadeo and Ubisoft put the time in and understand that it's actually worth to invest some money into the game.
You said that you follow the scene somewhat, but how was it to then cast it again? Had you do some research? Are you following the game enough to know about the 16 players that played in the beta season? How was it to come back and suddenly have to be some guy that is about to tell people about the information instead of just sitting back and experience it?
Yeah, so I actually co-casted the games with one of my friends. He also used to play Trackmania back in the day. His name back then was Erz or Erzkop. He's now one of my best friends, still playing Counter-Strike. And we actually got the chance to play the maps before the tournament, so we knew what we were talking about. We tried to race the tracks, so we knew some stuff, what to say, where difficult parts of the map are, where you could fly out and stuff. And actually talked to Massa and I think with Scrapey before, so they could tell us a bit more about Trackmania Grand League in general and the players competing. Of course, we still knew some of the players from back in the day, like Carl Jr. He was actually one of the rising players when I stopped. And yeah, there were still a lot of names around that we still knew from back in the day. Some new players like Roland, for example. I don't know when he started playing Trackmania, but I never heard of him back in 2011 or 12. He probably wasn't even playing Trackmania back in the day.
He
So
probably
there
was
was still,
playing it, but the first big competition he played was Trackmania Grand League, so he was even like a new face for the English casters.
yeah. So yeah, there was some preparation beforehand, so we wouldn't just sit there and have no idea what's going on. From our standpoint, the tracks in the first Trackmania Grand League season were pretty weird, to say the least, compared to tournaments that you usually see in Trackmania. I'm not sure what Nadeo has planned for the next season, if the games are, or if the maps are going to be more techy and yeah, like maps that you usually see on a competitive level, because they were quite strange maps from times. But they were also fun to watch, so I would never enjoy playing those tracks that the guys had to play. But I think it wasn't a bad move from the Nadeo guys, because from my standpoint, with the community I have coming from Counter-Strike, it was quite enjoyable to watch for these guys, seeing that pro players sometimes are not able to finish the track or crash when they have to jump through some of those strange structures that you have and clip those and fly out. So it made up for some pretty fun casting highlights when you see the first player crashing 3 times in a row and becoming last and flying out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when it comes to a competitive level, you probably want to see some more techy maps. And I think one of the main reasons for Trackmania being interesting is that even though you don't understand anything about the game, you immediately understand what's going on if you if you witness it and spectate it, and you immediately see what kind of skill is involved. If you see how tight the players are able to drive around the corners and different lines that players come up with driving those tracks, I think it's a great competitive esport to watch, even though you might not be a good player yourself or don't even understand what's going on in the first place. But you see that the players that play it put a lot of time in and are at a very high skill level if you see them play.
But then there was a season after that, the first official season, if you want to call it like that, Trackmania Grand League Winter, that was taking place this year. Was there any reason why you didn't cast that? Was you asked to cast it even?
I think we were not asked to cast the second season. I'm not sure who casted it globally. I think in Germany it was the big clan who then casted it. I think Massa told me a bit about it, that some of the bigger clans actually get a slot for one of their players, but in return they have to manage the casting and everything. So Nadeo don't have to do it. Something like that. I'm not quite sure. We also didn't really follow the second season because we also had a lot of stuff going on in the Counter-Strike scene back then. So even if they asked me, I probably couldn't have casted it. Yeah, but I think it was due to that they asked the big clans in Germany. It was the big clan, and somehow they casted it on their channel.
Yeah, just for the viewers that don't know, every org has to provide their own cast, and I even casted for the big clan, so it was in English. So I guess they missed somewhat of a German caster.
Yeah.
Are you up for casting the next edition that is going to take place in September, most likely?
Yeah, I am. I hope that it happens. Actually, I've been in touch with Massa lately, and they said that Nadeo was up to talk to streamers again that might cast it. So I hope it happens. It would be a lot of fun for me and my buddy again. We really enjoy doing it, and I think also our audience, even though 90% of them are on my channel for Counter-Strike, really enjoyed the stream. It's something totally different, but everyone loved it, our cast, and also the mid-round interviews that we were able to do with the German players. Goof around a bit. So we are nowhere near the professional casting level that Riolo is at, but I think we had some good fun with that cast, and it was quite fun to watch, I hope.
In under a month, there is a new Trackmania coming out. A lot of hype, at least within the community itself. How much of the new Trackmania have you followed? And if so, what expectations do you have for a new Trackmania game?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of the teaser clips that were posted online, and I think also something with Cerator was published on YouTube, where you could see some of the new blocks that are introduced into Stadium, like the slow motion block and those crazy like half pipes that have the glass floor that are pretty slippery and stuff. So I'm actually really excited to see if those are gonna be part of the competitive scene. Because right now I cannot really think of a good use of that slow motion blocks in a competitive map. But I'm excited to see how those are gonna pan out. Also, I heard about the new subscription model that they introduced, which has been greeted by a bit of grief, I think.
Yeah.
At some point, like you are able to play the game for free, but you cannot build tracks and stuff, as far as I understood.
Yeah, you can
Which
build
is
one map, yeah.
yeah, which is quite difficult to understand because the game can be happy about the players that actually put the time in and build tracks for everyone else. But at the same time, you can think of it as this is the price for the game, those $9.99 that you have to pay for a year to play mostly everything apart from the club system and stuff. And the free version is just like a free test demo where you can still experience a lot the new Trackmania. I think that's how you have to see it. They were not going to make any money with in-game mini transactions and stuff, which was something that I expected the game to be entirely free to play, and then there are mini transactions that you use to have your skin displayed to other players or your horn displayed to other players and stuff. I think that's one of the main reasons why Trackmania Turbo wasn't really a big success, because of them selling it for 40 euros, I think it was, which was quite a lot, with the game also not being that great, I remember.
Yeah.
I think the new system with the subscription base is a bit better than what they had before, but I think we still have to see how players are going about it and if they actually want to pay the amount that you have to pay to experience the full thing.
But do you think that this can maybe scare away some, let's say, new players or casual players because they, even before trying the game, they hear that if I like this game, I still have to buy it. I still have to buy it again and again. So eventually, it can scare away people. Or do you think that this will bring people in because you have a free model and you can pay it for 1 year, and if you don't like it, you never pay for it again. So you just pay $10.
I actually think that it would have been smarter to have the game entirely free to play and have mini transactions in the game that allows you to get some cosmetics and stuff. Because if you hear about the subscription system at first, you will be mad because it sounds like you have to pay for things that actually contribute to the community feeling and stuff. But yeah, as I said, I think you have to see it that way, that is the price for the game that you pay. You pay $10 for 1 year. Or I think it was $29.99 for the new club system also.
Yeah.
And that's the price for the game, and the free-to-play thing is just like a demo for the game. And also, if you really think about it, if you buy one of the like mainstream games like Call of Duty and stuff, or FIFA, you pay like 70 or 80 euros sometimes for one game, and most of the times you will not play it for more than a couple of months.
Hmm.
So with Trackmania, you can get the 3 years club feature for $59.99, and yeah, you can, if you don't want to pay anymore, you can leave it at that or continue it with another 1 year subscription. So I think it's okay. I think they could have gone smarter about it to even make more money than they do with the system they have right now. I think having the game free to play and offer some things that you can use in game would have been a smarter move to also attract new players to the game.
You mentioned that once you showed the Trackmania to your fan base that haven't watched it, they enjoyed it because it's so easy to understand. But still, Trackmania is a small game. It seems to not break into some sort of mainstream games. Do you think that this game can maybe become that game that allows people outside of the Trackmania community to discover this game? Because hopefully, a new game creates some hype, right?
Yeah, I've always felt like Trackmania is a very fun game to play, but also watch. Back in the day, there have also been, don't think there have been many live stream casts back in the day when I used to play, but people used to record the whole games and upload them on YouTube later. And it was always so fun to watch when you see those pro players going so tight around the corners, being head to head, and the one guy drives the corner like pretty tight, and you see him go ahead like 2 car length, but you see the other guys taking the corner more outside, therefore gaining more speed and catching up. It was always super exciting to watch, and it can really hype up a cast if things like that happen. I still think Trackmania could be one of the biggest eSport titles when it comes to racing. And I think the only reason that it hasn't reached those heights yet is because of Nadeo not really understanding how to make the game grow big. Back in the day when I played, there were tournaments that were mainly held in France, and they only somehow put in money for the French community. And Trackmania was very big in France, I think, back in the day, but they never really tried to make anything out of Trackmania internationally. And I hope that that's something that will change in the future, because I think the game has a lot of potential also on becoming a popular esport on Twitch and other streaming platforms.
Hmm. Last question from me, or last topic rather. You mentioned before this interview started that you are following some Trackmania people on YouTube. Can you tell us who is the best Trackmania YouTuber out there? Who is the content that
Oh,
you enjoy the most?
I'm gonna make some enemies now. So the guy that I watch most on Twitch is Riolo, because I really enjoy his world record hunting streams. I remember that one track that he used to hunt in Trackmania Canyon, I think it was for like 43 hours straight, where you have to bug over a wall in the end to skip a U-turn and jump into the finish immediately. I don't know which track that was, but I actually saw that world record happen live,
Oh,
and
really?
I was so happy for him. And the most videos I watch nowadays on YouTube are like those world record hunting sessions that the guys do on Trackmania Nations at the moment, since people are able to play Trackmania Nations on Windows 10. again, I watch Hefest quite a lot. I'm subscribed to Riolu, to Virtual, to Roland. I think that are some of the guys that used to hunt a lot. Also Karian. I saw his video that he uploaded like 3 days ago, that precision track where he tried to do the point 53 on that really tight corner map, which Riolu was then able to beat. And yeah, that's stuff that I really enjoyed watching. Also those what are they called? Like Kaki tracks. I tried some of those. I wasn't able to finish many of them, but it's fun. It's quite fun to watch those videos. That's so I still follow the Trackmania scene quite a bit on YouTube.
But do you feel like there is some content missing from YouTube because you said that maybe Trackmania videos are still underrated, but is there some content that you feel is missing in Trackmania that maybe can help the game grow because then you attract new viewers from a platform like YouTube?
I think the main reason for the videos not becoming as popular as Counter-Strike videos, for example, or any other main game, is because of the game not being that popular. I think the content that has been produced around Trackmania has improved a lot over the years. Back in the day, it was just people uploading their top records and stuff, and now I see challenges. I think Virtual does a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I saw a video of him where he raced like EO5 Endurance or something, and people from his community had to build another track with just having the inputs of EO5 Endurance and make the track look like it was played separately, even though it was
Yeah.
just the inputs of that Nadiro track. So that's stuff that I think is very creative and that I enjoy watching. So from my standpoint, I think the guys that are doing the Trackmania content like that are doing a great job. That's stuff that I couldn't think of myself, and I think that stuff has a lot of potential to also become or to get a really large audience out there if the game grows.
That's it for me. Thank you so much for stepping up and doing this. I mean, you have a long history in Trackmania, and that history is before I joined the game. So, is there anything I forgot to ask you about, maybe that you want to share with the Trackmania community that you somewhat follow from YouTube, Twitch, and such?
Yeah, one thing that I also wrote you before that I really want to mention is how great the Trackmania community in general is. So I switched over from Trackmania to Counter-Strike, which is a pretty toxic environment in that game. It might be due to the fact that the game is mainstream. I think League of Legends and stuff like that is also not any better. But everyone in Trackmania seems to be so friendly with each other. Whereas in Counter-Strike, if you hit a nasty shot against someone, he's gonna call you out as a cheater or insult you in any kind of form. In Trackmania, if you have a good run on the server, everyone is gonna say good game, nice time, and no one seems to be really jealous about each other. So that's something that I really miss from back in the day, and that I also remember how friendly everyone in the community was. You never had beef with anyone. Everyone was friends with each other, and I really hope that it continues to be that way in Trackmania.
Yeah, that's some positive words to end this podcast on. It's really a pleasure to see you here, and I hope that you will like the new game. So eventually, you started with Trackmania, moved to CS:GO, but now in 2020, you're coming back to Trackmania, and that will be your
I
main
hope, yeah.
game, right?
I'm not sure if it's gonna be the main game, but I really wanna spend some time with the game because I really need some stuff besides playing FPS and first-person shooters. And I think going back to Trackmania, also I hooked up with a bunch of my really old Trackmania friends. Some of them, in the meantime, became fathers and mothers and haven't played since back in the day. And we actually tried to contact a bunch of them on Facebook, and many of them want to come back to Trackmania as well. So I'm really looking forward to get in touch with those people that I started out back in the day and play with them.
That's it. Thank you so much again, TrilluXe. It's been a real pleasure having you here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Bye bye.